and welcome back, all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic book connected. We are in the same room, and also as well as Jon and Charlie Rivera, the co-founders of US Comics. In person, Charlie. Happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you and to everyone listening and watching today. As always, we are brought to you by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button and or follow button and hit that comment section like you owe it money. John.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
You know
we
what?
didn't write special copy at all.
We are so close
And my
to each
cough
other
drop
right now.
is just exploded in my mouth.
There are like cough drop particles smashing into my face.
This is called Does John Get the Flu? The episode.
The Petri Dish episode. Special to you. Our
It's true.
fans.
It's true.
Fans is a strong word. People that tolerate us for approximately 110 minutes.
You know what, though? But they're kind of doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Because, like, following us is like going on an epic quest.
To a degree.
Speaking of epic quests, I need Bobby Alton in the room because I need a tiny little magician to be part of it. Willow is back. It is 2022.
Willow is back.
And we're getting more Willow action.
Willow took his sweet fucking time getting back, and it's only permissible because he got them tiny little legs. He's just, his hands, he has beautiful, he's got beautiful, huge, normal, he could be a concert pianist. His hands are so damn big, but the legs, the little legs, just trying as hard as he might, but he finally got here, man.
3 episodes.
3 episodes in.
Brand new Willow action.
Yep.
You checked it all out?
I did indeed.
I know you did because you woke up in the house today. And you were like, do you watch episode 3 yet? And I'm like, it's 7:15 in the morning.
Yeah, you're welcome for that.
Only you and Californians watched all 3 episodes, but I have seen all 3 episodes.
And Warwick Davis and the Davis family.
Cousin Paul, just,
Damn
I know
straight.
you think your eyes deceive you. I know you don't think you deserve.
This is a new special Rivera Brother filter where you can put it on your Apple device, or not Android because they're always a little bit behind.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it can make it seem like, no, we are indeed in the same, forget about the same room, like the same county, the same state.
It's true.
It's all shocking, quite frankly. A very special US Comics. But yeah, I'm all way the fuck caught up on Willow. I mean, honestly, having loved the original movie from like 80 whatever, 88 maybe, I loved it.
George Lucas's finest work, I would argue.
George Lucas, Opie, fucking homeboy, Ron Howard. There's a lot of people who have their stamp on the original. Warwick Davis, a.k.a. Wicket. Just my favorite little person that there is. Period. End of sentence.
Wicket, specifically?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like,
Wicket.
I just love this little
Wicket.
son of a gun.
Yeah, I mean, show me what other Ewoks fucking broke down Princess Leia's hard, crusty exterior.
That's true. It was Wicket and Han. They were the only 2 ever.
And the rumor is that Chewbacca may have.
I saw those beach photos.
I saw those beach photos. Ellis knows. Ellis knows.
Ellis jumping in on the Facebook chat. We invite you all to join the chat. We are live. My dear brother,
Word.
possibly getting all sorts of zombie viruses right now. Living in this room with me.
I'm finished. Guys, if I own any collectibles that you have had your
Shotgun.
eye on
Dibs.
for years, no,
Dibs.
Charlie is the gonna be the germ giver.
I'm the progenitor.
Charlie is the walker in this situation. So
I'm gonna
guys,
be walking
go
away with a
ahead.
bunch of swords.
Slide into my DMs. Tell me what you like. I will pack it up nicely for you so that it survives the journey.
Let's begin at the beginning of the journey.
The beginning of the journey.
What do you?
How
Oh,
did you
it goes
feel
to me.
about the original flick? And when did you see it?
So, on the heels of you showing me Jedi.
All right.
So you showed me A New Hope. I was like, this guy is whining a lot. Then you're like, here's Empire.
And I was that guy.
It's the best. And I was like, it is the fucking ends on a downer ending. Me and Dante agree that's a proper ending.
Could have been worse.
Then Jedi, I'm like, sure, a lot of Muppets, but I'm young.
Sure, you love
So
Muppets.
hooray for Wicket.
And you are indeed a Muppet.
And I believe your exact words were, you think Wicket's good now. Wait till you see Wicket all magical and shit. I'm like, the Ewok Christmas special? And you were like, no, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. What if I told you that Iceman from Top Gun and Wicket go on a fucking Conan-like adventure? So young, impressionable Charlie, you busted out the old Betamax. And
VHS. We were a VHS household.
We were
from
aggressively.
day one.
Aggressively.
Woof. Betamax and kick rocks, hit the bricks.
But you threw it in the VCR.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a library rental more than a blockbuster rental.
Honestly, Charlie, these were the days even before library VHS rentals. This was before the days of Blockbuster.
This was like a mom and pop.
There were only mom.
We had a
and
mom
pop,
and pop by us.
multiple. So just a quick little history for the VHS home rentals, guys. Those tapes were ridiculously expensive, to the point where, again, there were only mom and pops out there. There was not a Blockbuster, not a Hollywood Video, none of these big monster chains. So the mom and pops were like, yeah, $100 a tape. I'll take one tape, please. So there was literally a single copy of a flick like Legend.
You had to like fight
because it cost them money. So you're like, who has it? Let me know who has it. I will track that motherfucker down.
Hi, Steve Gohansen.
You father mucker, you are done. Be kind and rewind, or you're gonna get slapped up till Sunday. But yes, we finally.
I thought that was gonna rhyme, and it aggressively didn't.
Finally got.
Be kind and rewind, or else I'm gonna slap you.
If you
Eventually
go all the way around, no, that's not so true either. But yeah, so you cherished your rentals, and the original model was, well, yeah, if you're renting something, or actually that's not even true. If you buy $100 in the mid '80s, if you buy $100 movie to own in your home, you're the you're the Willow house. You're like, oh, you want to watch Willow? Let's go over to Lincoln.
There was like a cool kid who was the RoboCop house.
Basically, until the rental shops popped up, and the movie houses, not the movie houses, but like the production houses, the studios were like, what? No, that's not what this is for. You're breaking the system, and they sued and they lost. And fast forward a few years, Charlie, in the comfort of our brown carpet living room, we were able to sit and watch Willow at our leisure.
I am on record that I think like fantasy's lame. I say it a lot on the show. I'm like, I don't like fantasy.
Charlie's like, I don't have fantasies, ergo fantasy movies stink on ice.
With that being said, clearly I love fantasy. Because Willow growing up, I'm like, Val Kilmer is the greatest of all time. The Sarge. Dropping in to say he loves. I would have lost this bet.
Oh,
10 out of 10 times.
If the Sarge had his druthers, he would be riding on a dragon right now, IRL.
The Sarge's character in WoW is wearing camo.
That's his preferable mode of transportation. Reptilian dragonback.
Fair. So I loved Willow.
Yeah.
But as the exception that proved the rule.
Well, because the funny thing was, like, Willow is lighter fare. Like, Willow is kindergarten to Conan's high school.
But
like,
also
high
Willow
school, heavy petting over the clothes. Willow was like intended to be a lighter, almost like a comedic fantasy.
But see, that's where it got me.
Yeah, because you're
was that they didn't. No, it's that they didn't feel the confines. I don't know why I pronounce it that way. They didn't feel like, because it's sword and sorcery, they have to be like, what ho, little boy. Val Kilmer spends the entire runtime breaking balls, literally calling Willow short stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole people. He is shitting on an entire race.
I'll be entirely honest. I'm still not, at this point, entirely sure if peck is slander. Like, I'm desperate to run into a little person in the wild right now and be like, is it okay if can I say peck, or only like little people rappers allowed to say peck?
I was almost positive with Brownies.
Mad Mardigan spits it. I want to use it myself.
But Mad Mardigan is like the 35th Val Kilmer character that I'm like, that's who I'd want to be in that scenario.
Oh yeah, no. When in doubt,
just from the cross-dressing alone.
Val Kilmer, but he did have some pretty luscious fake
Those were
tatas.
solid tots.
But that all being said, so childhood Charlie loved Willow.
Loved it.
As did I.
Never once.
Actually, I'm actually older. A lot of people ask that question. I'm the older sibling. Shocking to most, I know. But yeah, so slightly
Look
older
how
than Charlie.
jet black my beard looks.
Yeah, you just dying it. It's fine. So slightly older John also as well as loved it to pieces. And now we had to wait decades and decades and decades for this legacy sequel.
Were you waiting desperately for more Willow?
You know what's funny?
If you told me, hey Charlie,
so
what do you want? I'm the brother that always says more is more.
Yeah.
Never once did I look at the menu and was like, more Willow.
Yeah, but you got to understand, there was only one installment of anything Willow. So hey, Joker Stream joining us over from Twitch. Guys, make sure you check out Joker Stream on Twitch. Dynamite Contact. We're going to do a link directly for you, Joker. So let us know like which one you'd like us to share, because Joker's always comes through. But that all being said,
which normally is a bad thing. The Joker coming through normally is like, Arkham's on fire.
Team Joker for life. But that being said, Willow didn't give us a ton of material, and
it was a 5-part Marvel comic.
One of the very, very few instances where John is happy that social media exists, because you're on record. It also means you can be canceled at a moment's notice for something that you said a decade ago. But that being said, if also as well as when Disney Plus first dropped, the first mention that yours truly made about Disney Plus, this brand new platform, this, that, and the other thing. Oh, it's got Disney stuff. Oh, it's got Star Wars stuff. Oh my God, it has Marvel stuff. John's like, yo, go watch Willow. If you haven't seen Willow in a long time, it was the first thing that I said. So I'm gonna
with
stand
your Willow underoos.
That's right. I'm gonna stand by me and Mad Mardigan. We're gonna stand by our claim. I wanted to make sure that everybody was enjoying what I enjoyed, and the truth of the matter is that the series is indeed a legacy sequel to the one and only Willow flick. Now, I'm going to kick it back to you, Charlie.
Yes, please do.
What's your hot Charlie fuzzy bearded take? Sick as hell. Let me wipe this off real quick.
I'm saying you just...
God damn, I
you
just
T-viruses yourself.
Oh!
My big takeaway, and you actually yelled at me for mentioning it to you. Typical. In real life. You're like, save it for the show, stupid. It looks so much...
Ellis. To 2 installments, that's funny.
It looks so much like they shot it the next day with wildly better camera.
Better cameras were...
It's just like, the camera's more in focus. They cleaned it. They had like a
petroleum jelly. We're like, oh, how did this get on there?
I couldn't
There's
believe...
some brownie juice all over the screen.
I feel like it took Star Wars 5 films to look like Star Wars again. The prequels don't look like Star Wars.
Aesthetically, you mean?
Yeah. Everything is like a CG shiny mess in the prequels because they're fucking terrible.
Ellis, earmuffs. Ellis.
Then you had like, oh, we have the new installments coming for you. And even the first Daisy Ridley one, like still, even though it was kind of a remake of A New Hope, started to look like Star Wars again. Willow didn't have that gap, and it's because they've had so much time with these Star Wars properties, I'm sure.
Decades and decades. Like,
but
it's to them, it's not really fair per se.
Do you want my glasses so you can push them up in the brim?
They did have to kind of like jump in, I realize, and you know, Lucas always said, you know, if I had the technology to do X, Y, and Z,
I would ruin my legacy.
If he had the technology to have filmed them in the proper order, when he's not lying about having it pre-written ahead of time, he says that he would have. Now again, Willow doesn't have that luxury or that curse, but so to you it feels aesthetically
it
like
feels
the
like
world
Willow.
of Willow. How are you taking it in as a story?
After an amazing season of House of Dragon, where like boobs are getting chopped off and dragons are eating babies.
I don't remember any boobs getting chopped off.
Those are all scenes. It's amazing. You said at the beginning of this, Willow is that like baby's first fantasy. It was nice being able to take a big step back in the sci-fi world of stakes. Where like I'm pretty sure everything's gonna relatively be okay. It felt like a warm hug from a franchise I didn't realize I missed.
Okay.
I really, really love the tone of it. It's still actiony. You get a lot of Mad Mardigan energy.
Yeah.
Without, he's ever present
so
without kind of being
obviously
there.
we know that Val Kilmer is in not in the best situation right now, and as happy as I was to see him in Maverick, I don't think that that's really necessarily in the cards. You never know because Hollywood is still Hollywood, but
So full CG. That's gonna be where they go full Star Wars. He's gonna look like when they
can
had.
you imagine? Yeah, like do we have
very
that fake,
rubbery
that
Mad
fake
Mardigan?
Luke still?
But
can
it's
you do a
just
regular
Luke. He
sword?
just says he's Mad
It's just
Mardigan.
long hair. But yeah, no. What I do want to say this, I felt all like the juice of anticipation. They dropped 2 episodes right off the bat.
I'm already scared you didn't like episode 3.
I was all the way in. I'm like, great, and the things that we spoke about feels like the world is clearly just a pickup continuation.
Willow's hands are still big as fuck.
Bigger than mine. Like he can palm basketball. To the point where I said, okay, well, what is this gonna be? Because look, when I watched it as a kid, I'm like, the cool cat here is Mad Mardigan. Like if you're gonna play Willow on the playground the next day, the next lunch period, you're like, oh, I'm Mad Mardigan. Nobody wants to be like, I'm gonna be Willow. No, nobody does that. However, Willow is the main character here. Granted, we have Laura. She's got 52 names. Brunhilde, she calls her Dove. Like spoiler alerts, guys. She's got 52
Steve.
names. She's got different hair color. Fine. I anticipated that she is the prophesized one. She's the Neo of this Matrix.
Whoa.
Not a problem. Here's the thing, Charlie, and you
Tell me
buried
now.
the lead a little bit.
My bad.
Episode 3, I start falling off.
No.
Now here's the thing. I'm pot committed
So much should
at
happen in
this point.
episode 3.
I'm pot committed. So you have a plethora of characters now. And one might argue, in order to capture the initial charm, the magic, if you will, of the original, where you had a sizzling hot young star in Warwick Davis. Fucking Mad Mardigan, Val Kilmer is at the height of his Hollywood powers. You've got a bomb piece princess just fighting against her bitch mother to go do her own thing. There was all that chemistry. We use this word probably overindulgently. It was a charm fest. It was charming as crazy. Sarge, there's 3 episodes out thus far. I believe it's like not even halfway through. But that all being said, my enthusiasm started to drop a little bit. I will 100% I'll finish it, because if I need to bitch about it, how can I do so if I
May
haven't
I
seen it all?
point counterpoint?
Well, I'll tell you the reason why.
Sure.
The bottom line is just that it's like going to a restaurant that you remember from back in the day, and you love this restaurant. One of the best meals I ever had in my life. And then decades later, you go back to the same restaurant. You're like, oh, I remember this waiter. I remember this crusty-ass coat check girl. I remember the paintings on the wall. Even the china looks familiar. And you have that first few tastes, and something is a little bit... Oh, my God. All right, Sarge, I'll hit you up right after we record. It's just... The bottom line is it's just not as charming. Now, here's the thing. In all fairness, what else is new, Sarge? What else is new? Sarge is always about 10 seconds away from choking a motherfucker out. It's just not as I'm not as involved in the story as I was with the original. And I have a theory as to why, but I'm going to throw it back to you.
My theory is that you watched it at 5 a.m.
No.
No,
It's
not
that.
no.
It's not
because
I watched it twice.
At 5 and 6 a.m. That doesn't really help. I'm the opposite. I thought episode 3 did a tremendous job of rounding out that cast. I thought it explained the stakes. I thought it progressed story elements that I needed progressed. I'm so excited for episode 4.
Well, now here's my point to the counterpoint to the point. The original.
Look, you're scaring off poor Ellis.
The original. No, Ellis, watch it.
Ellis is gonna rewatch episode 1 and pretend it's good.
You gotta watch it.
Fucking hate sand and shit.
Now here's the thing. I said, all right, well, when you have a legacy sequel, a sequel in which they made you wait and wait and wait, to a certain degree, you're gonna be coming from a place of like, hey, Father Mucker, I have waited this long.
Hurry up.
There better be a tremendous payoff. Make my wait worth it. That's probably unfair thought number one. But thought number two goes back to actually something that you were referencing, and Ellis knows this probably better than most. With the Star Wars sequels, as they progressed, you can't help but rank them, right? They number them themselves. You can't help but rank them. Charlie is a king ranker.
It's true.
So you ranker. You can't help but say, well, I like this better. I like that better. This one I like better than that. And talking about Empire, which is maybe debatably, but not really if you're talking to me, Empire being the best installment of the Star Wars is...
Star Wars I.
Empire has one glaring drawback.
Go on.
What's the point of Empire? What is it that they're trying to accomplish again?
Striking back?
They're striking back. You have, in essence, the same stakes as you did with Star Wars when you're first meeting
getting some of that delicious blue milk.
When you're trying to get the crazy characters. Willow is the series, which look, fucking, if Gunn and DC didn't have something to do with this, we're gonna have a Willow series. You remember the movie Willow, right? Yeah, awesome. What's the series gonna be called? Willow. That is basically all we can come up with. In essence, you are left with the exact same roundabout plot, like what they need to do. I'm like, are we still here? Decades and decades later, we're still in the same predicament.
Like, Willow, you still suck at magic?
The queen is now the evil queen is now the evil crone. The people who are douchebags are still douchebags. Brownies are still a problem. I'm like, we've progressed none. Well, the only thing that's happened is that charming kind of like nugget of characters who we were so involved with following, granted for a smaller window of time. Somebody must have fed them after midnight and poured water on them because they have multiplied. So now there are multiple Mad Mardigans, literally and figuratively. There's like multiple princesses. There's more of everybody, to the point where it becomes very difficult for me as a geezer fan to be like,
see,
I don't fucking care.
This is where Captain Mora's more comes
I actually don't care about most. I care about Elora Danan because I remember her as a little chubby-faced baby. She was in reality about 17 babies with red hair. Now she's blonde, but they explained that away. I care about Willow, obviously. Again, I'm going to be careful with spoilers.
What about the stand-ins? This isn't a spoiler. The stand-ins for Mad Mardigan. Would you have preferred if they recast? Mike brings up the fact that they could have recast like Witcher's gonna do.
That's valid.
But that would have broke my heart.
That's valid. Yeah, that
would have broke my heart.
That would have hurt my feelings. I would have been thinking about Val Kilmer the whole time. See, that's a very Jokerish thing. But that all being, I agree with you, Ellis. It is one of the best fucking movies. Period.
Empire.
But here's.
But so is Willow.
You know what I said? I'm sorry.
That is for the audio listeners. They didn't see Ellis.
My bad.
Drop it.
So the fact of the matter for me is,
hurry up.
Mad Mardigan is Coca-Cola, and they're like, well, we can't just give you one can of Coke. We've got a whole series. Yeah. Here's a 6-pack
Coke
of
Zero
RC Cola.
First of all,
they are not.
How dare you?
They're not even Pepsis compared to.
That's because they
Mad
robbed me of a
Mardigan's
jet.
Coke. They're RC Colas. Yeah, that's true. Pepsi's and killed a bunch of people in Central America to boot. You owe me a jet, and you killed a bunch of people. Dynamite document.
Bottom line it for the people.
Yes.
Do you still think 3 episodes in, high on it after 2, 3 left you wanting more?
Yeah.
I'm a slut for this sort of shit.
Period. You could have stopped.
So
that sentence.
I definitely
You
think
didn't need the punctuation.
touche. I think that people should check it out. Certainly. What do you think?
Yeah, my vote is definitely check it out. for two reasons. First, mostly, make up your own mind. Come here to talk bullshit with us. Don't come here to be told what to do, unless you're a sexy lady. No, definitely check it out. If you loved or even liked the original Willow, this is a must-watch. Period. If I came to you and I said, or Charlie or whomever said, this stinks on ice, not worth a minute of your time, you should still go and watch it because you need self-fulfillment in this world. But if you are asking my opinion as to whether you should or should not, definitely watch it because look, I might have just hit kind of a bum
5 a.m.
episode.
problem. Yeah, I hear
No. Like the episode in general might have been making that turn, saying what we cared about before, that's fantastic, but here's some new stuff to care about. We promise we're gonna get more charming in the future. So far, so not good for me, but I'm absolutely pot committed. I'm gonna finish it.
So in the ranking,
for
though,
sure. I'll kill you.
it's
I
not
will kill you
Coca-Cola.
dead.
Right now, it's Pepsi, though. It's not RC yet.
It's not Pepsi.
It's not RC yet.
Collectively, the
Pepsi.
No, it's the characters that are RC. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna carry the soda analogy over for the whole show.
For the whole episode.
Watch it. They wish they were Dr. Shasta.
How dare you?
Definitely watch it, you guys. If anybody comes to you and says that Willow is not a good watch, they are one thing and one thing only. Ellis knows better than most. Like George Toy Boy Lucas, John is about to drink this Han shot that Charlie poured. He very well might be trying to kill me and take over sole possession of US Comics Cast, but let's see what happens. Han shot first, baby.
Clink.
Clink.
That was all the rums just kind of mixed together. Boop!
What happened? Oh my god.
He lives the
What
fight.
happened to my beard? You knocked my beard off. Oh my god.
That was pretty good. You gotta admit that was pretty good.
Wow. I can only imagine, you know when you're taking the garbage out and there's like the juice at the bottom of the can? You're like, I don't know what that is. It doesn't smell like anything I remember throwing away. Charlie just gave me a double shot of that shit. It's
true. I'm a good brother.
Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, take a little water. Chaser.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Take a breather. John, there's you shouldn't trust me to pour you shots.
Yeah, no, and I should have known better. But even though I had a lot to say, that was indeed Charlie walking us into the shared topic. But that being said, we are in this kind of like weird place in time in the calendar year where the weather is changing, especially for us suckers up here on the still on the East Coast. Not like the Sarge who's in the summer breeze in Florida 24/7. But we have at the same time we have some indoor time to kill, while also being petrified to spend any money on ourselves because the holidays are right around the corner. So you start looking around your domicile.
Huh?
You start looking around your home base, your HQ, as it were. Let me dive back into some shit.
Dust off some shit I own.
Let me dust off some shit. So, your boy went over to his impressive, if I do say so myself, comic book bookshelf, and I said, I want to get into a story from beginning to end. So let me go ahead and not pull out some single issues, not pull out some deluxe super duper editions that'll take you a week to read. No. I said, let me go ahead and eyeball my true, and I said true graphic novel selection. And there is a big difference, you guys, between a graphic novel, a trade paperback, or a collected edition, and we'll get to that.
And there's some overlap.
There's
some argument.
There's some overlap, and actually, it's probably good for the topic that you want to talk about later, so we can maybe segue that. But a true graphic novel, you guys, is a singular, standalone story, obviously in the comic book format, but often hardcover edition and almost exclusively thick pages. You're not talking about 20 pages.
Single issue graphic novel.
You're talking about 60 comic book illustrated pages of wonderful storytelling, but that has a beginning, middle, and end. There's no like, come back next week for the further adventures of... So I wanted to read like a full story, like a movie in essence, or a series between two a cover and a rear of the comic book pages. And guys, what I pulled out, and I am so happy that I did because I have not. Pulling out is usually not that safe, but in this case, it was the best decision ever. Joe, the Barbarian.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
You heard me right. We take a lot of pride here on US Comics Cast for occasionally educating the masses.
The people.
I want to say that even some of our bigger comic book fans that join us may not know Joe the Barbarian. They will know Grant Morrison. They'll know a lot of the creatives involved, but they're not going to know this particular story because it's not an established IP. It has never been adapted into a show or a
Yes.
movie, though it should be.
And will be.
Maybe the first U.S. Comics cinema selection.
We don't want to do our own shit first?
But guys, I'll give you the real quick the elevator pitch to the story. So you have Joe, young fella, like high school, junior high school probably age kid, I would say, single family, home, not that much money in the bank account for the old family.
You're just describing us.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to say nothing. But he's also diabetic. So he has a particularly shitty day one day, does not do what he needs to do to keep his body healthy. He goes home, the house is empty because mom's out working, single mom. And he's got the type of bedroom that basically every sitcom that we watched as kids, like those kids, like the Drummonds kids, that's in their bedroom, but he doesn't have to share it with anybody. Matter of fact, his bedroom is technically up in the attic. Like he's got to pull the attic ladder down, but then it's beautiful. You know what his bedroom is? Do you remember the room that little man was reading the never-ending story in?
Yes.
It's that type of room. Matter of fact, now that I say it out loud, that might have even been the inspiration for the illustration of
The
it.
never-ending story.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But all his toys are up there. His pet rat is up there. And he's like, this day really sucked. Did I make sure my blood sugar was right? No, he did not. My man's blood sugar gets all jacked to hell, and he starts slipping into that diabetic problem area to the point where he starts literally seeing stuff. And I was describing it to Charlie before I shared some links. That's right. He was the first Scott Malcolmson, and he indeed as well had diabetes. Dynamite quote Ellis.
Ellis is winning the quote off.
He starts seeing things, and the way that I described it to Charlie was Toy Story meets like Game of Thrones meets Alice in Wonderland. So his toys, he's seeing his toys as like these warrior Avengers all around him. His pet rat basically becomes like a fighting, speaking Chewbacca. And he has this epic adventure. Like we're talking about high fantasy. He has a high fantasy that he's visualizing this high fantasy world where his toys are now these warriors, Transformers and G.I. Joes and He-Mans. They're running through like crazy. His rat is throwing down right and left. And he's just trying to get down physically. In reality, he's trying to get from his bedroom up in the attic down 3 stories to the kitchen so he can get some sugar into his system, a little sugar water, some insulin, whatever. But that has translated into an epic level, high fantasy, would have made Conan or Willow proud type of adventure. Guys, it's a tremendous read. It's beautifully illustrated. I'm actually going to show you while Charlie...
I'm one of the
Charlie
ignoramuses
kicks it around.
that hadn't experienced this. So you told me you could send me the first few pages.
Yeah.
I just bought it digitally online. I was able to flip through
My man.
the first 15 pages because it's that sort of read. It's kind of once it gets rolling,
so good.
you can't help but want to see what's next. So I'm fucking super excited. Love the art. Love that Grant Morrison energy kind of behind his writing. You're just pulling out like really beautiful
Yeah, I'm just kind of like
little
scrolling
splash or two. There is something undeniable about it, and the fact that it's already collected, the fact that it's designed and engineered.
Well, yeah, it was
as a beginning, middle, end story.
The story was exactly right. It was designed to be a close-ended narrative.
Which
for
ultimately
you.
is what makes a graphic novel.
Right. Now, this in particular, they did release this as single issues, but always with the intention that, yeah, this is
It's not
a
like
beginning,
Batman.
middle, and end story. Now, here's the thing also. There are also runs. You can have a collected run, which is just, some of them are fantastic. The other day we were talking about my favorite Daredevil, happened to have been written by Kevin Smith. That fucking story is bonkers. Guardian Devil almost can be an Elseworlds because it is so out there, but
it functions as a graphic
in the same.
but it ain't.
It does. It's not truly a graphic novel though. So,
It picks up from a previous story. Stories
right,
continue after it.
right,
Watchmen is a graphic
Now
despite
the-
being released individually.
right. And Watchmen is a
And
pure,
now having sequels, but
it's a pure graphic. It was never intended to have sequels.
and intention is key.
Now also you might say a Kingdom Come.
Yes.
See, Kingdom Come, everybody, you can help if the fact that if you're alive and walking around, you're gonna know who Superman is. You're gonna know Wonder Woman. You're gonna know Batman. You may even know Shazam, but you don't have to have all this pre-working knowledge of those characters. So I would still include Kingdom Come in that conversation, but Joe the Barbarian's a more pure example of it for sure.
And it doesn't, like, just to clarify, something like Invincible or Walking Dead that happens to now
Those
have
are
an ending.
ongoing.
That's
ongoing.
a billion
Yeah.
volumes.
They were blessed to have had the ending that they had. So I'm just gonna put this up. So this is the official original.
It's a little bright.
Just a little bright. But that's what the original color. We'll include some links for you guys. It is just dynamic.
Hey,
we
spam!
got another spammer. Look at us.
They want to offer
have
promotion
content.
of our channel, viewers, followers, etc.
But anyway, guys, the art is just great. I gotta show you the rat. But that all being said, so Charlie,
Yes.
Couple of questions. So you didn't know about it prior to my putting it out there. I'm getting 0% of these
Liar.
sales, which is bullshit. But let me ask you this: was it what you expected from my promotional tactics?
You're a good salesman.
Debatable.
Anytime. Oh, it's actually like a real person. Nice. Joker Stream's buddy. Or he's a liar. He's a liar. He got me. He fooled me in the chat. If you're not watching the show, you didn't see gullible Charlie. Joker, you butt of a sitch. All it really takes.
Joker being Joker. Gotta love it.
All it takes at this point is you throwing out there
Look at Joe with his toys.
literally
Eventually,
anything.
eventually, you're gonna see them toys come to life.
The fact that you were like, hey, check this out is all I need. I didn't need the pitch. You then followed it with a pitch, which is always nice.
That's the best.
I love that you just keep trying. You're like, it's a little bit blown
I'm
out.
about effort, guys.
He is about full maximum effort, John, is what we tend to call you behind your back. So it doesn't take a lot for me to be.
It's a terrible nickname.
It's true. And then I think you did a great job describing it, but I don't need your descriptions to trust you. I'm just always all in. You're like, this is good. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I mean, it started with RoboCop and fucking Willow. You recommend something, I'm gonna like it. What was the last thing you recommended I didn't like? That fucking comedian. The fucking, hey, I got spaghetti. That fucking idiot.
Then this special was not my cup of tea. So let me ask you
He's in
this.
a 12-piece tuxedo. Fuck him.
Before we go too off, which is like the guarantee thing is to go off the rails. So let me ask you this, Charlie. I know that envy is only ever just bubbling on the surface. So knowing that I plucked out an absolute gem,
Yes.
Joe the Barbarian, guys, go check it out. You can pick it up really, really cheaply digitally.
It was like $15 for all of it?
Comixology, Kindle Unlimited. Like you can definitely do it. It's a solid purchase. But let me ask you this: what's the last graphic that you have on your list that you dug out and dusted off?
It was tough
felt
because
all nice and warm.
It's tough because a lot of times the most basic answers are given. Kingdom Come, basic bitch answer. Watchmen,
Charlie's like pumpkin spice.
Yeah, exactly. They are the or Dark Knight Returns. God bless it, but that is the pumpkin spice of graphic novels.
And barely, I wouldn't even call it a.
So
a
I
graphic
went
novel.
to the thicken. I went to a thicken. I went all the way. I went Alan Moore, because respect.
Good start.
From Hell. From Hell.
From Hell is easily
Just got colorized.
top 5 for me.
The original artist, I actually pulled it up because I never give this guy credit. But
Was TNT colorized?
Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. Eddie Campbell last year, 2021, went back and did a colorized version of his own art. And what's brilliant about it, it's the sort of coloring job where when I think of From Hell, which is about Jack the Ripper, for those of you who are not in the know, it's like a murder mystery about who the fucking killer is. And it's Jack the Ripper, but it's like, who is Jack the Ripper?
Yeah. And the motivation.
It lives like Watchmen, in as much as there's a lot of like darkness and seediness and back alleys. So you don't want to just fucking throw a splash of color like it's the new
From
52.
Hell makes Gotham by Gaslight look like Romper Room.
Yes.
And I like Romper Room. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you know.
What's amazing though, before
Poor
we get to
Alan
Ellis's
Moore.
comment,
Poor Alan Moore.
what's amazing though is because they let Eddie Campbell color in his own art, which seems like an obvious choice, but it's never the choice they make.
Sure.
He did such a subtle job. So there's like little yellow highlights on street lamps. There's extra, it sounds fucking stupid, but there's like bluish gray tones instead of just gray tones.
Oh yeah.
And there are times where he has full color and fucking blood and shit. It is absolutely amazing.
Well, there's not always blood. Like, wasn't that like the one constant?
I think it pulls a Watchmen in those like the one straight up, but there's a lot more in the colored Ultimate
Have you
edition.
ever read the colorized Sin City?
Yes. So fucked up.
Terrible.
So fucked up.
Don't ever do it. Go watch the colorized It's a Wonderful Life first, because that's even less of a fucking cardinal sin as Sin City and color.
The fact that Ellis likes watching Alan Moore films, knowing it bugs Alan Moore,
Ellis just sits there.
is
He's
why
like,
Jack the Ripper is going to show up.
I'm gonna vindictively watch this and laugh the whole time. Now you know what's really interesting for the
From Heck colorized DVD.
for the From Hell writing is that they did something somewhat similar to what we've tried to do. Is they said,
Oh, history.
You can't, even better, you can't make up what some of these like conspiracy theory stories, what they've come up with, like, and that's like multiple sourcing. So that's not even just one person's deranged imagination like mine or Charlie's. No, it's a collaboration. So people are like, oh, you know what? I bet what if it was this? And they're like, oh yeah, I heard that. And then it's like the add-on game of like for the theater performers do. Collectively, they came up with the most bonkers fucking conspiracy theory for Jack the Ripper, why it was happening, when it was happening, and then what they did was they took that, repurposed it, repackaged it, drew it up, and they stuck it on the shelves, and we were like, yeah, I'll read that. So it is
like, not only going to read that, I'm going to read that
but at
twice.
some point, there were people that believed something along those lines, and again, we won't spoil because you never know. If you have
1983. It hasn't been a long time.
Listen, some things get busy around here. If you have not read From Hell, go out and damn read it, because again, it is a proper read it. Don't watch it because the film adaptation was just
From
trash.
Hell is one of the most disappointing watches of my life. Because that's not a situation. If I saw the movie first and then someone was like, "Hey, come check out this graphic,"
No,
my head would have exploded because I'm like, upping the quality. When you reduce a quality, when something is like way worse than its source material, when you read the Jaws book and then watch Jaws 4,
but that's
oh, that hurt my feelings.
But that's often the case. Now, Jaws, the original, is one of the very few instances where the adaptation is superior to the source material. Again, the book Jaws, just to be very clear, it's not bad. It's just not great. It's good. It's good. But the movie is all-time great.
Jack the Ripper as the Elephant Man, says Ellis, is a good bad theory. You like that? John, did you know? I already told you this, but just because we mentioned Jaws, you know the original pitch for Jaws 2 was 2 Jawses?
Yeah.
I love that.
I believe that's referred to as Jaw's Eye.
You know how they keep remaking fucking Friday the 13th?
I do.
I wish they would do that with the Jaws series. Like, none of the other ones happened.
It's close.
Just Jaws.
They don't call it Jaws anymore.
Oh, Deep Blue Sea, I called it.
Megalodon.
My head is like a shark fin. Deeper, bluer. My head is like John, do you have a runner-up for the people that want because you mentioned it, but the best part about a graphic novel, beginning, middle, and end in your hand. It's not something you have to worry about 30 years of history before.
Well, the thing about it is
after.
this. You don't finish a Thanksgiving dinner and they say, what else you got? I mean,
speak for yourself.
We do. No, that's the whole point of a true and proper graphic novel. When it ends, it ends.
You're just left in your own mess.
There's not gonna be some. You just sit back, you smoke a cigarette. You hope that there's no surprises for yourself 9 months down the road. No, that's the great thing about like a true and girls, a true graphic novel is sad. It's a satisfying read.
So it's another satisfying graphic.
You don't have to worry about kind of like what's coming up. Again, look, Kingdom Come. We spoke about Kingdom Come here pretty. We've spoken about it before.
A lot. One of the greatest.
It is truly one of the greatest endings. Like, it is a real. I think I really did sit back and.
Ellis didn't even see Willow yet.
Oh, Ellis just knows. He's like, I'm with these guys. But no, the satisfaction of the finale, of a good story, whether it's in graphic novel form, a movie form, what have you. Honestly, for me, knowing that there's nothing else to worry about in that world that they've created is part of the enjoyment. You're like, that's done now. And so for something like, even though it is connected to outside material, it was totally protected from it as well. When they made sequels to Kingdom Come and they tried every which way but loose.
Remember when
kind of
Gog
make it
showed up in the main line?
Yeah.
Gog?
You can screw up. You can screw up greatness. You really damn.
With that being said, not to go too off, I'll get us right back on track.
Yeah.
Our boy, Helmer of Guardians of the Galaxy, new Helmer of DC, he tweeted out a picture of Kingdom Come.
Big. He has been tickling my
playing
pickle
with your nipples
ever since he got the big chair. First the Lobo stuff, freaking Kingdom Come. What was the other thing that he was flirting with me specifically?
I forget the one that was like aggressively.
He's been knocking at my door. The other day, I heard little pebbles hitting my window, and I said, "What's going on?" I open it up. Gunn. I look out. There's James Gunn in full. Box. That was a joke I was gonna make. Thank you for that. It was in full say anything mode over in Weehawken, New Jersey. He's just been flirting with me like, flirting like I got the cure for what ails him.
So to bring us back on track, though, someone that's been flirting with me for years. Mark Miller in Miller World and his deal with Netflix. Yeah. Chrononauts. Have you ever read Chrononauts?
I have indeed. Yeah,
what an absolute, and that did come out first as issues. Yeah. But very quickly in its proper format because it was only ever designed as 8 issues, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe more because it is 2 volumes.
Miller World properties are almost all designed that way.
Yeah.
Like
which is what I love about them.
Whatchamacallit, we spoke about Public Domain. Similarly, like Homeboy knew that there was going to be a very specific run for the story that he Chip Zdarsky. He said, "This is what we want." Joker just letting the evil cackle fly. But yeah, so Public
No,
Domain,
I wouldn't do Kingdom Come with the Snyderverse Joker. You son of a bitch.
So whatchamacallit, again, it was intended specifically as a beginning, middle, and end story. But it was released as single issues, and that's just the drip feed, I like to call it. But that it's going to be collected. Public Domain is exactly that. Just I think the announcement today, to be collected as a trade paperback, so you can go ahead and look for that holiday season, which is upon us. Another dynamite read. But so Chrononauts, what? It's coming to Netflix?
Chrononauts, it's a big.
Or just that you love it?
No, it's the big rumor of like the next Miller World at bat, but it's also legitimately of the last 10 years, absolutely one of my favorite graphic novels.
I'm so
A completely original IP that you're like, you and I talk about it all the time. Like, unless your story is about time travel, don't fuck with time travel.
Ever.
So Mark Miller was like, here's my Back to the Future. And it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he does wonderful stuff. I don't know if he has fallen into that like weird Neil Gaiman Jr. territory where his work, for whatever reason, is just so difficult to adapt because Netflix has not done right by him. Not so far, man. As far as I'm concerned, some of his better stories I'd almost rather see unadapted.
Now the question becomes, will we ever see a day where Netflix isn't the most bipolar studio ever? Because it's either a home run, or I don't know, me letting go of the bat mid-swing and it flying and in.
Batfleck doesn't have many great things to say about Netflix creatively, so when creators...
See, which is so weird because I
really don't know.
My understanding was they just were like, here's money, bye.
That at first they were, but now it's become like a factory.
I wish they would go back to the money thing. Mainly because it isn't my money.
Don't they all?
But yeah, for me, graphic novels are some of the best money you can spend in comics. It tends to be low investment, high reward.
Oh, it's
a full story.
Look at it this way: that this content is collectible, if nothing else.
Yeah.
You're like, if it was worth, and when I say collectible, I mean by the publisher. They're like, we think enough of this material to print it more than once. In some cases, 2, 3, 4 times. Different fucking editions, colorized versions, upside down, special foil options. Like, you have plenty of pulls that you can reach for certain stories. But the bottom line is, if they've gotten to that point, somebody liked them enough to make it worth their while. So yeah, trade paperbacks are tremendous, but they are a different animal. A lot of times they will necessitate having read some stuff before it, and you're hopefully going to want to read some stuff after. Whereas the true graphic novel, like again we had mentioned here, probably the one that was most in the news, and then we can move on. Mouse. There is no follow up to Mouse because Mouse is based on the most horrific event in human history.
If it would, there'd be a little Kanye cat just trying to get fucking
that might be
cats
like
back into the mouse hunting game.
The epilogue. The new edition of Mouse will have a cat that just says the dumbest thing. I mainly
said that to shit on Kanye, but now I kind of want to see someone take a fucking...
Who's that now?
Yeezus.
Ah, Yay Cat, as those in the know like to call him. But yeah, look, again, proper graphic novels. You pick it up, you read it, you love it, you hug it to your chest. Maybe you fall asleep a couple of nights just leaning on it because they are pretty comfortable, especially the non-hardcover ones. They're malleable, but you ingest them, you love them, you pass them on because that story is done. And that's the beautiful thing about those type of stories is, look, as much as I love Superman, some point everybody, and as the Batman movies would clearly let us know, there is such thing as a character fatigue, and a good graphic novel doesn't have that shit. You read it, you love it, you move on to the next. But that being said,
which I love about that,
and also we should probably take that approach ourselves and move on to the next.
That's
true.
And
we're gonna do that by Charlie Boy here, maybe taking his last sick breaths on this good earth. Charlie, tell him how we pay the bills up in here and go out and buy graphic novels.
What we do is we sell you lots of land that do not make you a prince or princess. No, we don't. We don't do the scam stuff.
I thought we agreed if we're gonna do any land grab, chicanery, we were gonna go with either one of Lex Luthor's blow up the state and make new real estate.
Today's episode is brought to you by Otisburg. Otisburg, the only burg in the land.
It's a little bitty place.
No, we're not total fucking sellout jokes. We don't sell it for random companies that is making up shit like you can be a lord or a lady. No, today
the moon one is real.
The moon one's also not real.
I give up.
We're brought to you once again by one of our absolute favorite bands, and that, of course, is Bad Mary. You heard them during the beginning. You're going to hear and see a music video of theirs at the very end of the show. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, you can follow them over at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/badmaryband. You can stay up to date at badmary.com for merch and upcoming performances. But my favorite part is their whole discography, including their brand new Christmas LP, is available right now across all music streaming services.
Damn straight.
John,
Yeah.
a holiday LP during the holidays? What more could you fucking ask for?
Just timing is everything, but it does beg the question, Charlie, where we dropping with Sergeant Finesse? Then we're gonna have to also check out who the hell he had to choke out at X-Man School, but also as well as you can find him gaming on Facebook, multiple streams every day, outstanding gaming content, supported games, co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Charlie,
Yeah?
I think we've come to that time. What you want to talk about?
I was not fully expecting that, and I was a little bit choking.
He hadn't even swallowed.
Yeah, I really got paranoid. John!
Yeah.
I'm once again pissed. I'm always pissed
I
off.
thought you were Mark Ruffalo. I'm always pissed.
I'm not allowed to be happy with anything. Do you know why? Do you want to know why, John?
Because you're a millennial crybaby?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Because of the suits.
The suits. Fuck the suits, man.
Fuck the suits. Mike Zapsik, close personal friend.
Comic book man and czar of Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. Blah, 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 over in Redback, New Jersey.
He says it all the time. He says fuck the suits. And why? Because he can't fucking trust them. Because these pieces of shit at DC Comics,
of all places, Detective Comics.
they just got me to remove my 13 wide boot from their asses trying to fucking sell me this Snyderverse shit. There's, Flash is in a Batman costume. No shit. They moved up the date. No shit. Here's a great Blue Beetle poster. Oh.
And it was a
It's going to
great
theaters.
poster.
It looks shiny. It looks badass and robot-y. You're going to tease me, James Gunn? But the man
Almost
behind
exclusively.
the steering wheel is going to tease my little... Just come up and say, oh, Charlie's little nuts. Let's... I don't like that.
baby.
I don't like the implication that my penis is that
No,
size.
say it's tiny. So.
No, we're talking about my nuts.
Oh no, those are freakishly large.
Troublingly large.
Yeah.
This piece
All
of...
three of them.
This piece of shit company
DC.
is suing a writer for writing a story for them. Have you heard about this? I know you have.
This
Because I screamed from my office
honestly,
today.
guys, this is kind of like new information. So much so that originally we had formatted the show differently for today. We had a different topic.
Yes, some
to
of you
wrap
saw
up.
the original preview.
Yeah, you may have seen the original copy. But this dropped, and Charlie Rifle was like, no, this is something
I'm
that
so
we have to
annoyed.
talk about. So just walk the good people through the situation from beginning to end.
Sure.
Don't be afraid. Use profanity.
I'll-
use names.
I'll begin with a good thing.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not. That is not indicative of my penis. How dare you? My frustration begins with a good thing. That is not my penis. Let me see your hand.
No.
Give me your hand.
Tell him what's going on.
The Batman. Right? I love the movie The Batman. Sparkly vampire boy beats the shit out of poor gangsters.
Pattinson did a good job, man.
The third act
Did a good job.
was a little bit tacked on. But beyond that, one of my favorite Batman movies.
One of my favorite Batmobiles, which quite frankly is probably the most important part.
My favorite Catwoman almost. She's up there. She's up there. Top half. I realized how many awesome Catwomen there are as I said it.
Yeah.
My second favorite Penguin.
Of the
My
two.
third favorite Penguin. Because I just remembered that.
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith is absolutely my favorite.
Burgess Meredith is like, get up, Batman, you son of a bitch.
I love
Because Penguin loves you.
so much of that movie.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was written by a really, really clever guy. Now, DC and the director would have you believe, and it might be true, that the director came up with all those ideas of this like dark and moody Gotham.
Yeah.
That's kind of all Gotham cities, but I'll let that one slide.
Gotham is Latin for can't see shit.
The Riddler kind of twist and reveal, kind of a stapler. Nope. Kind of a staple of Riddler. Catwoman and Batman wanting to fuck. Kind of a staple of their relationship.
Yeah.
However, about a year ago, right around the time the Batman was nearing $1 billion.
Yeah, it made
the Batman made $900 million. That's $100,000 away from a billion. 900. It's 100 million away, right? I'm bad at math.
It was a lot of money. The movie made a lot of money.
There was a writer. I'm going to read the statement in a second.
Yeah, do it.
Chris Wozniak, penciler and comic book writer, came out and said, hey, man, I wrote a Batman Riddler story that I submitted to DC that they said, no thanks. That is suspiciously damn near fucking identical to your movie. So, like, clearly you borrowed elements of this unused script. I would like the payment that other people get when their work is adapted. I'm not telling you to go fuck yourself. I'm not asking for more money. How much do you pay the guy who writes the thing you adapt? Is it 10 grand? Is it 20 grand? Is it 100 grand? Whatever that check is, thank you, I'll take that. And frankly, because the internet is desperate to dunk on shit, kind of got shit on for a few months. Where people were like, oh, a dark and moody Gotham? I'm not here on this show to say I know. I haven't seen the fucking script. I haven't even seen the script to the Batman. I've seen the movie. I have no reason to believe someone would potentially sue DC and hurt their career unless they fucking were in fact telling the truth. So I have no reason to not believe him. I have no reason to believe him, but I have no reason to not believe him. Just this week, DC has sued Chris Wozniak. Warner Brothers attorneys are not disputing that they used his story. Chris Wozniak suspects because it's fucking clear and obvious.
Yeah, all you have to do is read the script, the submitted story, and then watch the movie. So just really quickly before you
Please do.
delve in, Ellis, just to get Ellis had made a comment. Studios don't read unsolicited scripts, or so they say. And I personally agree with you, Ellis. I think that most likely they absolutely do read them because you kind of have to be stupid to not do so. But that being said, you're right. It is the Pepsi and the Jello again. But this being said, he didn't submit it to the studio. He submitted to the DC. For the longest time, they had like an unwritten policy of accepting freelance script ideas.
Most of their writers
were freelance writers. They were not necessarily under the umbrella. They weren't getting every week checks from Detective Comics. So freelancers would come up with an idea, submit it to DC, and those admittedly were read. They said, thank you for submitting. We'll read this and get back to you. And if they liked it, they said, okay, this is a great story. It fits in with what we're doing right now. Here's a checkie. This is what we're going to have doing it, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Here's a checkie.
They didn't even have to smash or nothing. So, and then the compensation was had. Now, the one umbrage that I'm going to take with it, with the whole situation is, largely the way the system is predicated now, you can have an absolutely famous story run. If that character ain't yours and you were paid for your story, they can go ahead and adapt it any which way they want. They can turn it into a claymation stop motion film. You're not seeing dime number one additional for that extra mileage that they got out of your story. Matter of fact, more often than not, and when I say that I mean like 99% not, and maybe 1% if it's somebody that's like so famous that they know that they would get crushed that they didn't do so, They don't even give the person credit for the story. So rarely will you see based on a story by, even if that person wasn't a producer already on the
Yeah.
flick. Like, that's the easiest way to deal with it. Look, I understand you don't. Black Adam didn't do as you want well as you wanted to. You don't want to cut some extra checks. Give these cats or kittens a producing credit, which means ultimately, if that project makes big ducats at the theater, you're gonna get a little piece of it. It doesn't cost
Give 'em
you
a fucking
anything.
half
Give them
a
a
percent.
slice. Give them a slice.
You
But in this case,
stingy shits.
not only did they not do that, they didn't give him any credit for his contribution to what ultimately became this flick. They didn't even pay him for the fucking story, which did show up in the pages of DC. So it is like
So
strike
here's
1, strike 2, strike 12.
So here's the problem. So in the 90s, it was common knowledge that DC did take unsolicited stories because they needed shit submitted. Wozniak suspects 90% of DC comics were made that way. Where a guy who didn't work for DC said, what about this Shazam story? What about this Flash story? What about this Green Lantern story? They'd read them. Some of them they'd say, no thank you. Thanks, man. Try again. Some of them they were like, this is fucking rad. Let's make this. Here's a contract.
Probably more more often than not, they'd be like, this is great, but no thank you. Fine. Everybody realizes on the creative world, not everybody's gonna dig everything that we dig. That's fine, but then you say, okay, you didn't want this, guys. Real quick, we talked about Snyder. Look, Snyder, I think, is at his best when he's either completely constrained, saying you can't change this, you can't change that, you can't do this, that, or the other, or if you let him go totally the other way and he's got zero constraints. So very similarly, Snyder pitched the Star Wars people an idea for an extended Star Wars tale, and they sat back and said, no thanks. And he said, okay, can I please have that back? And they said, sure. Now that pitch, almost verbatim, with the exception of names and a couple of the visuals and toys that Ellis owns, and maybe some cosplay that Ellis has created, all that stuff went right back to Snyder, and he turned that shit into Rebel Moon, which is going to be dropping on Netflix pretty shortly. They just finished shooting principal photography. Now it's going to change it a little bit when you watch that and you're thinking, holy shit, that could have been Star Wars. Whether it's good,
well,
bad,
especially since it stars Bukenpea. He's not a great writer, is what I'm implying.
Listen, sometimes you got to change it up just enough to get by. But yeah, Rebel Noon went. Rebel Noon. What time is it? 1:15 Rebel Noon. Rebel Moon, when it drops on Netflix and you're watching it, just remember that shit could have been Star Wars. So
God, if it's good. So here's my umbrage. Let's say he's fucking wrong. Let's say DC. Let's say the jokes and the memes that they tried to shit on my boy Wozniak over. Let's say they're right. Let's say they didn't borrow his story. Let's say the elements of the story he's claiming are his are the most basic, like Batman wears black. Yeah. Let's say Wozniak is barking up the fucking wrong
little kids.
The wrong tree. What DC is now doing is they are suing a single dad for writing a Batman story 30 years ago. They are trying trying to bankrupt a guy to get out of the predicament that these fucking charlatans are robbing our childhood heroes of, right? They're robbing story writers. They're stealing key art. Thor, Love and Thunder. Arguably a bad movie. There's a scene where Thor's buddy god, who we don't see get murdered, is in the frozen tundra. It is fucking identical to a shot from the comic. That artist doesn't deserve something? What the fuck has this world done that we're so afraid of, like, the word communism that they're like, well, you were paid once for that. The fact that we're taking it, remixing it, and adapting it and using it verbatim, fuck you. No, fuck you. You cannot make hundreds of millions of dollars and tell stories about the good guys triumphing over evil when the people who own your companies are evil, shitty villains.
He was paid in exposure, Ellis says. Ellis, well done. Well done, sir. Yeah, no, it's ironic in the very, very worst sense of the word because, yeah, at the end of the day, this is comic books. Look, people give it either, I think, too much importance or nowhere near enough. I think you know where we sit on that scale.
Way too much.
But the bottom line is, it is American mythology, right? It's American. It's an American creation. It's like jazz or musical theater or whatever, except you don't have to be talented. No, it's an American creation. It's an American institution. But mythology, as everyone who has bothered to pay attention in school for like 5 minutes in middle school, we know mythology was intended not just purely as an entertainment. Yeah, sure, to a degree, absolutely an entertainment. But at the end of the day, we were supposed to walk away from it with something we didn't have before. And almost exclusively, these comic book, 4-color funny book page stories, they're intended to teach us how to act. Be right. Don't be a bag of douche out there in the world. That's hard enough already as it is.
Yeah.
Don't contribute more shit to that stew pile, right? And here is one of the teachers, one of the biggest myth producers for us to ingest. And they're doing the wrong thing. Because look, like Charlie said, even if this cat is totally in the wrong, if they did not adapt his material, I very much doubt that that's the case. I think they just took what they wanted and said thank you very much and moved on with their lives. But let's just say that they weren't. Their reaction to it is so off the fucking mark. It's one of those things. It's like you're accused of cheating and you didn't cheat, and then you run around the house flipping tables and breaking artwork and like kicking the cat across the room. What are you doing? What are you doing? You are making yourself look way more guilty than if you had just been like, nah, that's not true. And you know, we'll let's sit down and we'll talk about it. We'll find the truth someplace. Like, relax. They did not have a just relax reaction. They went way over the top. They went nuclear on this cat who's like, hey, maybe we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
They hit the fucking nuclear bomb button, and they're trying to basically price him out. They're saying we will sue you, and basically that cost. Did I say basically before?
You probably did.
Basically, what's happening is, it's now gonna cost this dude so much money to fight the lawsuit that now he is the defendant in. Never mind the fact of just like looking for credit. Look, so let's just say Ellis
They could have paid him an exposure.
That's what I was gonna say. If Ellis's joke was actually the way that they wanted to go and say, hey, you know what? In future releases, we will go ahead. We'll add a title card on there. Story by your name. And that would, by all means, put some shine on that cat. That at least would be something. Something that at least wouldn't be an open slap in the face with your schwatz. It would be something that this cat could hang his hat on. Now it's the total opposite. He is on the defensive to the point where he's not a rich man. He's like crowdfunding.
He had to turn
his
to GoFundMe.
defense. His defense costs. And I'm gonna kick in because look, at the end of the day, what matters? Truth, justice, American way. Whatever the new one is too. Let truth prevail. You know what? Give this guy an opportunity to tell his story. And you know what? If you're wrong, DC, if you're wrong, and I'm DC first. Well, USComics first, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
DC third.
I grew up DC before anything else. If DC is proven to be in the wrong here, nobody's going to be more mad at them than me.
And it also seems, and then we'll wrap it up, but it seems like, again, the ultra-powerful company with the army of lawyers, they had so little faith in their case, they couldn't just let this fucker see court. All you'd have to do is show a judge his script, the movie script, give that fucker a few hours to read through, and it's going to be clear as day.
Yeah.
Right? So, you could have, I would argue that in this system, there is no way for a little guy to take on a massive corporation anyway. So the fact that they went over the top and they were like, no, motherfucker, also, you're not allowed to write. I wrote a Batman story in the shower this morning. Am I next? Am I next to be sued?
If you are a sole property, no connection to US Comics. But you know, it's funny, like, I know jokingly, the reference to Pepsi and the Jet, that documentary is dynamite. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Where's My Jet? But that is a prime example. But the bottom line is this: in comic books specifically, this type of attitude and behavior and thinking is not new at all, guys. How many times have we heard the story, guys? The creators, Siegel and Schuster, the creators of Superman. Debatably the greatest character ever, superhero character ever created, but undeniably the first and the fucking template on which every other superhero character who wore their underwear on the outside was based on. They didn't want to give them credit. They didn't want to cut a couple of extra shekels on, like, what was the first billion-dollar franchise known to comic bookdom. Like, that is not cool guy behavior. That's some straight up Lex Luthor bullshit. And you're right, big businesses have been doing it a long time. But, like, look, you're talking about PepsiCo, fine. You're talking about Detective Comics. They're supposed to know better. Like, this is not supposed to be.
Hey, beautiful girls here.
All right. That's not supposed to be the conversation that we're having with myth makers. Like, it makes you start to question, like, fuck, maybe Lex Luthor was right. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to behave. Maybe I'm supposed to wear a giant long red tie that hangs down to my kneecaps. I don't know.
Your itty bitty hands.
But it's a bullshit move. It's not cool. It's not the way that you defend yourself if it is indeed like a non-valid fucking accusation. And it was barely an accusation. It was like, hey man, credit where credit's due. I don't want anything special. I just want what everybody else would have gotten. But look, they don't give the creators credit when they do pull directly from their own pages. They don't do it by, it's just not the natural order of things, and it should be. Look, it should be. If I ever go to see a Daredevil project, and it reminds me even the slightest bit of Kevin Smith's run, Guardian Devil, I will be the first guy to stand up, throw my popcorn, and walk out, because credit where credit is due. If it weren't for these...
I'm not going to walk out, but I'll be mad.
He'll be very angry about it. If you don't give these creators who have dumped out your toy box and done more with it than you ever would have done on your own, you done fucked up, A-Rod. You messed up, man. It's not the cool thing to do. This story really jammed me up.
Said beautifully. If you can, even if it's $1, go to GoFundMe, support Chris Wozniak.
Even give it a good read. Like, make up your own mind, obviously, just like anything else.
100%.
But if you feel like we felt, chip in, man. Give this guy a shot.
Again, they're using the
He's a creator.
hashtag
We're all creators.
Batman Gate. But John,
It's pretty lame.
that's a little lame, but it's easy to read. John, we've come to the end of the show, and there is only one way that we... Hey, man. What the fuck? For those of you that don't know what happened, you have to check out one of the visual options.
I treated Charlie like
YouTube
a
and
cat that was
Facebook.
acting wrong.
There's
That's what
only-
happens when you step on my line. Hey, Charlie.
Yeah?
Why don't you tell the good people how we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast?
Well, first, why don't you show them visually? First, you gotta turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the
I can't
volume up.
reach.
Then you gotta tune Bad Mary and open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky, save Miss Space Girl!